Take it out to Vegas, where the lights shine bright. Vegas, in the clear desert night. Vegas, where they can make you a star. Vegas, at the NFR.
NFR Extra is a podcast dedicated to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo and features icons and personalities that embody the Western lifestyle.
And there's a lot of that in the kids nowadays. Like, if you want to be a bareback rider or a bronc rider or team rope or whatever it is, like, fully commit yourself to that. And it'll be worth your time in the end. You put the 10,000 hour rule into effect too, and just stay positive and look out the windshield instead of the rear view mirror, and just take it one horse at a time. Don't get caught up in all the other stuff, and just keep it simple, you know. That's kind of how I go about it. And I got the best job in the world, and I try to enjoy it every chance I get, because it can end at the snap of a finger.
How do you convince someone to move to Marshall, Missouri?
If you want a rodeo, you get the rodeo. You might drive 12 hours to win $200.
Oh my gosh.
Hey everybody, this is Steve Godert, and you're listening to the NFR Extra.
It's just a little darker. Don't make this about me. So, Jess, you have a big life event coming up, and I don't know if you told us before, but take us back to how you and your future bride met.
So the IFYR, Bloomer Trailers, they used to do a high school team and stuff there. So they only did juniors and seniors. I was a junior, and Sydney's sister was a senior. But I met Sydney down there, and we became really good friends. Always had a big crush on her and stuff. And then in 2019, I invited her to the college finals, and she ended up not showing up.
Ooh.
And so I needed a next day passport, because I knew I was going to Panoka later that month. That was my rookie year. And you could do that in Aurora, Colorado. So she lives in Brush, and so I called her and I said, hey, I'm broke. I ain't got enough money to buy a hotel. I'm going to need somewhere to crash. And like, it was far enough out of the way for me to go there that if I just would have drove straight there, I definitely had the money to buy the hotel, but I wasn't going to let her know that. And so after that, I just kind of kept showing back up. I knew where she lived then, and we were rodeoing up there. And so after the 4th of July and stuff, I pretty well went there every week for a couple days and started dating. And then she moved to Marshall, Missouri, and went to college there and played softball, and that's where I was at, and the rest is history now.
Well played, sir.
I
well
know,
played.
I know you have an affinity for Marshall because you rodeoed there, but I was in the Ozark region as well. How do you convince someone to move to Marshall, Missouri?
If you want a rodeo, you get the rodeo. You might drive 12 hours to win $200.
Oh my
but
gosh.
The memories, and, you know, like Livingston, Alabama, that was one of my favorite college rodeos. You got on not the greatest horses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got on 5 re-rides there one time.
Oh my god.
And it was scorching hot, but like, just being down there, you don't have a care in the world. You're in college, you get away from town or whatever, and then you venture off out in the boondocks to the store. Pretty good times
in there.
Yeah.
No, I will tell a quick story. So when we went to Marshall, I stayed at the Marshall Inn. I don't know if it's still there or not, but you open the door to the bathroom and the ceiling like floats. Like it's a classy place. Let's just say there were 5 of us in that hotel room because we were all broke at the time. But yeah, anyway, I love Marshall. I love Missouri Valley. Was always a really fun rodeo because that's usually where our season kicked off. So that's a great place to be a bareback rider too, because Ken does a great job.
Yeah, he does. And, you know, like, I still go up there. I lived up there until just this last fall. I moved back home to mom and dad's, and going to start building a house and stuff over there, but it's only 2.5 hours if you hit traffic in Kansas City. So I go up there quite a bit to see my brother and pick up practice, just because you surround yourself with champions and people that want to win all the time. You're going to be successful no matter what. So to me, it's cheap to drive up there because I get to surround myself with the right people. I can have coach criticize me on the bucket machine or the Spurboard or anything like that. Like Tim, he still lives there in town. He has one of the best groups of kids I've ever seen. Like, I wish that group was there when I was in college. Like, the brotherhood that they all have, and they all want to be great bucking horse riders. We got some bronc riders and bareback riders, and just the energy. Like when you get up there and you just show up, pull in the parking lot and hang out with them for 10 minutes, it changes, you know. It's just a different energy and a different drive, and it makes me want to move to Marshall, but I can't, you know.
Sure. And I think that's a testament to Ken. You know, I mean, if you ever meet Ken Mason, like that is a very, very intense and involved guy. I mean, I really, really like how much he cares for his people, you know, and he keeps in touch with you guys after you graduate and move on.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of my best friends. I talk to him every day, call each other, see how his day's going, and it may be for 5 minutes or it may be for an hour, you know, depends on what we have going on. But he fully dedicates himself to the rodeo team. That's what I love about it, you know, like it may be 3:30 in the morning. The guy never sleeps. Like, I think he's half elf. He's just way like bigger than an elf. Yeah. Well, you know, an elf never sleeps because they're making gifts all the time. But
we're coming. Put a pin in that one because we need to revisit that. But go ahead. Sorry.
I needed that.
He gets like a full 45 minutes of sleep a day. But you know, like if he can't sleep and he's got stuff that he wants to get done at the barn, like there was times where I might have been coming back from the bar and there was Ken down there in the barn doing something, you know, and like. He doesn't do anything else. It's strictly there at the rodeo barn, and I think that's why he's built such a dynasty there. Like, seeing all the pictures of what it was when he got to school there, I mean, they lived in Saline Hall at the time, all the college rodeo kids, and it was 10 miles out of town, you know, and it was like an old nursing home or something. The committee loves the rodeo team there, so we have a big covered indoor barn now with a lane and an arena in it. The dorms are right there beside it. That's strictly for the rodeo kids, and like, just to see all the improvements and upgrades. Like, if you truly dream of something and want it and work for it, you're going to get it. And that's what he's done there. And it's pretty cool to see.
All right. I promise just one more rewrite story about Marshall, Missouri, and then I'll move on. So
good, because I got to hear this elf thing.
Okay. No, my freshman year, the arena was in a bowl, and I don't know if you guys still do it. So, but it rained so much that the tie-down ropers and steer wrestlers had to tape their boots on because that mud that was in the bowl was so sticky. If you didn't tape your boots to your legs, they would come off. I mean, it was, anyway, it's a fun place.
Was Johnny Walters putting the rodeo on when you were there?
Yes, he was.
Oh, Walt.
Yep.
Gosh dang it, kid. Get over here.
Not an elf, though.
Back to your elves.
Thank you.
Okay, pull the pin, Steve. Go ahead.
Let's talk about elves, because apparently you know a lot about elves. Is this just something from movies, or do we...
I watched a movie one time. Buddy the Elf, he was like Ken.
Okay.
He was an overgrown elf.
So
I love you.
A
I
documentary.
love you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Candy canes,
yeah.
candy corns, and syrup.
Is there sugar and syrup? Yes.
Yeah. That's really all I know about him.
All right.
But
I
he
thought it was
gets
a
a
lot
full
of food.
45 minutes of sleep a day, so he's good to go, you know?
Yeah.
It has to be true. It's on TV.
Oh, gosh.
Are his ears pointy?
Where did you get the wood for a rocking horse?
Oh.
That
I
was
mean,
positive.
Be sure to visit Cowboy Christmas. You might see an elf.
That's
Exactly.
right. There you go.
Yeah.
Tag it.
Hey, don't be a cotton-headed ninny muggins.
Ninny Muggins. Oh, that's so good.
Go to the Cowboy
Start
Christmas.
swallowing all those cotton
Yeah.
balls. Ugh.
I can feel my finger has a heartbeat. All right. That was down. It's been a long time coming for you to have the gold buckle. You have won the average every time that you've gone to the NFR. You're, I mean, arguably one of the most consistent guys that we've seen all year long. At the NFR, you proved that. And now, is this the start of what you think of, like, here we go, now it's the Jess Pope world?
I hope so. You know, I just show up and do my job every day. You know, life and to me is about perspective, and if you have the perspective of you're going to make everything great all the time, it's going to be great. To be a world champion, like, it's not just 10 days in Vegas. Like, it's a full year of whirlwinds. You got to draw the right horses at the right places. You got to keep from getting hurt. You got to stay healthy, you know, and like, it's just one of them deals when all the cards align, you just have to play the hand at that point in time. There's 15 guys that I can think of off the top of my head that are world champion quality guys. Just the start, you know, there's something that didn't align perfect for them.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you put the 10,000 hour rule into effect too, and just stay positive and look out the windshield instead of the rear view mirror, and just take it one horse at a time. Don't get caught up in all the other stuff, and just keep it simple. You know, that's kind of how I go about it. And I got the best job in the world, and I try to enjoy it every chance I get, because it can end at the snap of a finger.
Right.
So with that mindset, you've been very, very close before. So do you just take those memories where you wind up second in the world, is that just a motivator to go, hey, I need to work just a little bit harder, or I need to change this part of my preparation? Do you use that as fuel for your fire?
Yeah, I mean, everybody does. You know, like from the time I was a little kid, I wanted to be a world champion. Watched it, studied it. You know, in high school, I had to make a blog for an English class, and so I took like Casey Fields, Will Lowe, and Bobby Moat when I was in high school. Them were like 3 guys that were just kicking butt and butting heads, and so I broke all that down. So like I've tried to study it forever, and I always think back. You know, like when I was that kid wanting to do it so bad, I just got to keep that fire. You know, like once you win the gold buckle and everything, it makes you want to go win 10 more. But I always try to look back from when I was that kid, and just that feeds me the fire.
When was the first time you got on an actual bucking horse then? How old were you?
So I got on just a couple ponies when I was like 10 years old, and they were, I wouldn't even call them bucking. It was more like a little lope.
Mm-hmm.
But I rode the bucking machine a ton. There was an old man over by the house, George Steinberger. He started a bunch of good guys, like Will Lowe and Jeff Collins both started there. I started there. So the first school I went to was one of Will's. But I got on the bucking machine every Tuesday night from the time I was probably 7 years old, because I wanted to be Ty Mary. So I didn't even have a bronc saddle or nothing, because I didn't make one at that time small enough. So I would just get on there and ride somebody else's saddle without pedals and just spur the bucking machine. We'd be over there for 4 or 5 hours, and you'd pay him $5 every Tuesday to get on his bucking machine. But I don't know, it was fun to me. Like I played sports and stuff, but rodeo and I thought was way cooler and way funner than it was to go play baseball or anything like that.
Let's take a quick pause, and we'll be right back.
Looking to rope in some news and features you can't find anywhere else? Then look no further than the series of blogs at nfrexperience.com. You'll find customized content from experts in all things rodeo and Las Vegas. There's the NFR Insider, the Mental Game and One-on-One with Susan Canode, Hurley's Hotspots and Gold Buckle Buzz with Brian Hurlbert, NFR Experience with Patrick Everson, and the Junior World Finals with Jack Nowlin. There's something for all rodeo fans. Check it out at nfrexperience.com, because legacies and memories are made in Vegas. So we always say it as announcers how physically demanding bareback riding is, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But with that conversation, when do you think is the best age for young people to start? Because it does take a toll on your body.
So, like, when I started getting on, I didn't really have anybody to tell me, like, hey, don't get on. You know, like, Will Lowe started riding bucking horses when he was, like, 9 years old, and he's 40 and still doing it. Like,
He's been the same size, though, too, since he was
yeah.
He could be an elf.
he's built for it.
He's just a freak of nature is what he is. Like, there's not another Will Lowe.
Yeah.
But, so, like, I started my freshman year getting on, like, bigger horses at the high school rodeos and practicing and stuff. And by the time I got out of high school, my brother, he was a freshman my senior year, and I told him, no, you don't need to be getting on yet. You're not big enough. So made him wait till he was 16. And then my youngest brother, Judd, he just turned 17, and he's been on like 5 now. I think as a young person, there's so much crucial growth plates and stuff that aren't closed off. And like, it just takes one bad wreck, and then you're never going to be able to make a career out of it. You know, like, I think it's great that we're growing the sport with the young kids, but let them get on steers and bulls or something, you know, like, don't tear your body up now, because if you want to make a career out of it, if you really do enjoy it, you can make a ton of money after you're 18. Like, there's a lot of guys that I've seen that didn't get on until they were 17 or 18, and by the time they're 21, their body's so mature, it comes so much natural and so much faster for them.
Well, and you're actually seeing that a lot in other professional sports like basketball and football. There's a lot of guys that played for the first time at 16 years old. Learn the game.
Freshman year.
Yeah. You get a good coach, and
they're not tearing their shoulders out. They're not getting hit in the head. And that's like my son. He watches. He's gonna be big. Like, he's a big boy, but he loves watching, you know, all the Dale Brisby and Old Son and getting on. Dad, I want to get on, and we'll get him on like a little roping calf or something if we're roping. But Dad, I want to ride bulls. I said, all right, bud, 100 sit-ups a day, and hit like the man, And then I'm like, you do sit-ups today? He's like, oh, no, I will. But that's the thing, like you're saying about the physical preparation on that too. If you can't do a pull-up, you have no business strapping your body onto an animal. And that, I don't care how old you are, but like the physical preparations for that, for the core strength, for the neck strength. And the hard part is too, a lot of these kids that maybe get into these situations is it doesn't take much to get a lacerated this or that or a punctured here or there. And the kids really don't know what the true consequences of that are. And I think the older, like you're saying, you delay that a little bit more to where like, okay, there's some consequences here. You don't need to be 7 years old and getting your bell rung. I mean, that's just, to me, is completely out of the question.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of, like I try to stay really involved in like the youth rodeo and the high school rodeo, because I do, like my goal is to figure out how to give back to rodeo. Like I had enough guys when I was young that mentored me, you know? Like, so that's my goal, is to be able to give back to it. But you see so many of these young kids that are so hungry for it. And like when they get to 9, 10, 12 years old, they want to go play sports where their parents keep pushing them. Well, heck, by the time they're in high school, they're burnt out of it, you know, because it's not fun at that point in time. Like, there's so many kids that get pushed by their parents, and it's freaking ridiculous. Like, it makes me want to just jack slap them.
Well, it becomes their life before they even realize it. You know, now you get done with school, you have homework, you go into practice, you're going to your trainer, now you have a nutritionist, and it's almost crazy how in tune a parent can be, because there's good, and then there's almost too good, where you're like, hey, they're not a full athlete. Like, they're still a kid. They're still a student.
And vicariously living through their kids too, to where you're like, I'm not going to go yelling at my kid to go do something that I've never done. I'm like, you know what? That's what we have. If you want to do it, we'll find a coach for you. But like, if you don't, and I think that there's seasons too. That's the hard part too. Like even with rodeo, like you guys rodeo year round. So there's really not like, there's not, obviously your summer season is the busiest time. But like for these little kids or for all these other sports, is like, that's why there's baseball in the spring and there's wrestling in the winter, and there's the, you know, it's like take a break from it and move on. But when you get committed to that, to where you want to be the best and you roll, it's like the guys that are the fighters, like you got to be able to fight in 2 weeks. Like you have to stay in fighting shape the whole time. Like you have to be physically in shape. Like you can't just go sit on the couch for, you know, a week and not do anything.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. That's like, I think that the dedication that you exhibit to this is what kids, you know, leading by example, I think is the best way to give back. And that thing is like, man, I want to do that. It's like, look at the guy that's doing it, and he's the best at it.
Mm-hmm. Compare yourself to the guys that are winning.
Right.
And figure out your own style.
So I never really got to talk to you about it, but it was really cool how you surprised your brother when he won the college finals. Do you get nervous watching your siblings ride? Because I mean, I know what it's like with kids, but like if I watch my dad team rope and he's in the short round, like I get really nervous just being an innocent bystander. But were you nervous when you showed up there to watch him ride in the short round?
Dude, I literally about puked in the arena floor when I was trying to pull his rigging down. Like I told, there was a bunch of people there. I was like, you know, 10th round of the NFR, trying to win the average and win a world title. I'm prepared for that.
Yeah.
But like seeing him, I don't know. Like to me, I'm just sitting proud of him. And I crawled out there and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm literally about to puke right here. Like my leg got to shaking and stuff, the nerves,
Right
you know?
there, buddy. It's right there.
Yeah. Like, and it's one of those deals you want it so bad for him, but there's nothing you can do about it. And I think that's what I get so nervous about. Like, I know he can, but I want to help him.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that I can do to help him.
Yeah.
So, but let him do it himself. So I think that's where I get so dang nervous for him. But
yeah, you're not helping me right now. Can you be less nervous? That would be
yeah.
Can you please move? They want to swing the gate open.
Yeah. Okay, but just know that I love you.
Yeah, I don't know. Coach Mason was there, so I let him do most of the pep talking. You know, like I have my own pep talking to deal with him or whatever, but I pulled his rigging down, patted him on the back, and just go win.
Yeah,
and
you go.
I went to the next buck and shoot. 'Cause like it's hard to try to focus in that, because you know, like the true 15 minutes before and true 15 minutes after you get off, like you're seeing the competitor. You're not seeing you are seeing the real person, but you're not at the same time. It's like bareback riding, it's so serious, and I mean you can get hurt bad, you know, like, and it's with anything, but you kind of have to get into that mindset, into that tunnel vision, to where it's go time, it's me and him, and that's it. And like any other distraction, it's really hard. And so I just try to get out of the way.
So you said Judd's been on 5. What do you see so far?
He's got a lot of natural talent.
Really?
He's been getting on the Spurboard and bucking machine for a long time now, and I think it'll click for him really fast. I do. Just kind of one of them deals. I got to let him do his deal.
What would your advice, obviously maybe wait a little while before you get into it for kids, but like the up-and-comers, any piece of advice or words of wisdom for like, okay, hey, this is the most important thing that you need to for your ground zero? for your foundation, what would that be coming from you?
I mean, it's with any event. Find somebody that's good at it and message them. You know, like I love it when kids message me, get on the Spurboard. The Spurboard is the biggest key thing because it'll train your body to react when you do get on a bucking horse. Because if you start thinking, it just ain't going to work, you know. So everything's just got to be a reaction all the time. And there's so many little bitty things on the Spurboard that you can do wrong that make it traumatic when you actually do get on a bucking horse. So like send it to people that are winning, that know what they're doing, you know, have put that 10,000 hour deal in. And just keep building off of it. You know, if you're hungry enough for it and you really want to do something, put your mind down and do it. Like, don't half-ass something. And there's a lot of that in the kids nowadays. Like, if you want to be a bareback rider or bronc rider or team rope or whatever it is, like, fully commit yourself to that. And it'll be worth your time in the end.
Do you have any videos or anything that you do as far as, because you talk about like that deal for, you know, getting on the Spurboard, but like, hey, here's what you do right here. Like, here's Spurboard 101. Do you have something like that on?
Yeah, so like I have a deal typed up in my notes that just kind of is a roundabout deal of what I'm wanting from you, and then I'll take videos and I'll take my videos on the Spurboard and compare them. You know, like my free arm, your free arm should never move on the Spurboard. You know, and like when a kid gets to whipping, I can put 2 videos side by side and send it to them and say, this is what you got to do here. You know, or if you're not engaging your core, like you got to clench your butt cheeks. There's 2 ways to flex your core. You can crunch or you can shove it out, shove your belly button up. Well, if your belly button's shoved up, that makes your shoulders roll down and your butt cheeks clench. Well, now you're staying under your rigging a lot easier. It's just little things like that. But if somebody never tells them, they never know.
If a horse bucks in general with me, my butt cheeks automatically. Or if he trips, coughs, and farts, it doesn't. I'm bailing off. I'm out of there.
That's why you're riding sandy arenas.
Yeah.
Take that soft landing.
Yeah. Big tree fall hard. I know that much.
Do you have a set warm up? Like, is there, you know, you talked about it earlier, when you get to the rodeo, you typically go to Justin Sports Med and there's tape involved and there's this whole setup where Schmidt, you know, he mentioned that he just kind of shows up and saddles a horse. But is there a setup that you have, like a stretching routine? Like, what does that actually look like?
Yeah, so I try not to do like a ton of stretching. I try to do activation stuff. And I'm not the greatest at being able to tell you what you're supposed to do or what you're not supposed to do. Like Doug Champion and them, yeah, they get it. But I've got my deal that works for me, and it's what I've done forever. And I'm a little bit superstitious about it, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, you know? But like, if somebody has something, they're like, hey, try this. Like at Houston this year, Caleb Bennett, he was watching me do one of my warm-ups, and he said, hey, try this instead of that. And I liked it a lot more. So I changed that out, you know, but I do about 45 minutes warming up, activation and stretching stuff, working on my shoulders to get with bands to get them loosened up and ready. And then you start taping your elbow.
So I know you're still a young guy, but how do you fight burnout? I mean, there's those moments during the summertime where you've been on so many horses, you've been traveling, but I mean, how do you keep your headspace where it needs to be in those tough times?
I tell myself I got the best job in the world. I mean, it's tough out there. You're away from your family. You're grinding it up and down the road, and sometimes things don't go your way. You know, you're drawing not the greatest, and it gets tough. But I always think from the time I was a little kid, this is what I wanted to do. The places I see and the people I get to meet, the friendships that I have all over the United States, like, I got life golden. And there's people at home, you know, there's kids that want to be in my shoes, and I just have to tell myself that. Like, I was that kid that wanted to do that. So when you want to try to get down or negative or try to feel burnout, like get that perspective out of there, pow it out, freaking get the right perspective in there so you can be good.
Words to live by.
Yeah.
Dynamite drop in there, money.
I was just waiting for something else. No, that's
Broadcast
amazing.
school's really paying off.
Yeah, it's a lot. Just a bit outside. No, man, it's been awesome, and I'm excited to watch this career too. Because, like I said, with the consistency that you had in winning the averages, and now for the world championship and being healthy, you know what I mean. That's always the big thing. Is a lot of these guys do good, and it's like, oh yeah, but he tore. I mean, you got a burnt. Takes so long to get there, and it's kind of like, that was a tail end. But I think you're right in the prime, and it's going to be very, very exciting to watch you continue to rock and roll. And I really appreciate what you're doing as far as trying to bring on and help the next generation, because especially for your event of the bareback riding, we definitely need, more kids coming to it. So awesome visiting with you, and I can't wait to watch you strap on another gold buckle in 23, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, Jess.
Want to experience more of the NFR? Then visit NFRexperience.com And we invite you to subscribe to NFR Extra on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you're listening right now. If you like what you've heard on NFR Extra, we would love it if you gave us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe.